Oh, hey there. How's it going? Dave from Populous. You might remember me from such videos such as Dave Opens a Box, Dave Opens a Box 2, and Dave Opens a Box 3. Today, we're going to be making coffee while camping. Let's get to it. Now understand that this is a lot of stuff to bring with you camping. And I'm not necessarily saying this is the most efficient way to make coffee while you're out in the middle of the woods, but this is how I do it. It's not for everybody, but maybe if there's some little bits and pieces of this whole routine here that you want to take with you and make it your own, you should. Now let's go and run through the gear list. The boil kettle. The Chemex coffee brew. The hand grinder, optional. The battery operated scale. Don't forget the coffee. The pouring kettle with gooseneck. And don't forget the filters. One thing that you should keep in mind is how you're going to prepare the coffee before your trip. Whether or not you should grind it before or grind it day of. The way that I do it is I actually bring all of my coffee with me camping pre-ground. It saves a lot of time, a lot of hassle, and it really doesn't matter too much about its freshness, being that it's ground the day before we go camping and we're out for only a couple of days. However, if you wanted to level up and grind at your campsite, you can pick up one of these guys. This is a Hario Skirton hand grinder. They're good, they grind the coffee, but you will be spending quite a lot of time doing this. Today we have one of our flagship single origin coffees, the Sulawesi Pango Pango. This is one of our favorite Indonesian Sumatran offerings that makes its way onto our menu every once in a while when it's in season. It's a super unique coffee that's really balanced. It has notes of cane sugar, green grape, and lemon. For our brew today, we're going to be using the 1:15 ratio. This means that we're going to be using 1 part coffee to 15 parts water. I find that 20 grams per person per cup is a perfect baseline to go off of when figuring out how much coffee you're going to need in your group. Today, we're only making coffee for myself and my partner, Alicia. So we'll only be needing 40 grams of coffee. Now the math for that is take your coffee and multiply it by 15 to get your water. 40 times 15 equals 600. So you're going to be using 600 grams or milliliters of water, whichever metric you prefer. But something to keep in mind is that you're going to need to wash your filter, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So we're actually going to add just a little bit more water into the boiling process just so that we're safe and have enough water to get going. All right, let's get the water started. Okay, now that we got that all squared away, we're going to pour our boiling water into our pouring kettle. Now, the gooseneck of this kettle just gives us a little bit more of an accurate pour rather than pouring into the brew bed with our water kettle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring our scale back into play, put the Chemex on top here. And what we're going to do is we're going to wash our filter. Now washing the filter helps wash out some of that papery taste that we're going to get from the filter, as well as heat up the vessel that we're brewing into. Helps bring it to temperature. So this is the little bit of the 100 grams that we added into so that we're not taking away from our coffee. Once that's all done, we're going to discard it in a safe place and then put it back onto the scale. Fire up the old scale, and what we're going to do is take 40 grams of coffee. Measure that out very gingerly. This is pre-ground, just so that you guys remember that. All right, now that we got 40, going to even out that coffee there. And what we're going to do is we're going to zero out the scale again, And we're gonna start our timer on our phones, because timing is also very important. Stopwatch when we're ready. And do 80 grams of water to get a nice bloom going. Now, what a bloom does is it helps release a lot of the carbon dioxide that is trapped inside of the coffee, which helps sort of like the gas escape so that it doesn't enter inside of the coffee later. So we're just sort of letting that coffee breathe, letting it air, kind of priming it so that it has a better taste when we're done. So we're gonna let this sit for about 45 seconds. Okay, now we're gonna start pouring in small concentric circles around the brew bed. And just sort of timing it out, it'll take a little while to figure out, but you should hit about 2 minutes when you're all finished with bringing it up to 600 grams of water. From us to you, cheers. Thanks for watching.
That's the longest I had to wait for a cup of coffee ever.